Right, welcome back to the channel. Yet again, another review following on in my Sjcam theme. What I'm going to be discussing today is the Sj8 Plus and the flagship model, which I've been doing all my video on recently, is the Sj8 Pro. We're going to be looking at basically the specs of the two items compared to each other. And then obviously I'm going to discuss what the price is, the merits of each one against each other, and I'm going to be doing some comparison footage. I've knocked up a kind of a rig to put them together, and we can take a look at some real world video. I'll do some 4K, even though obviously YouTube will, because of my computer, put it back down to 1080p. Do some 1080p. I'll probably keep that just on 60 frames a second, because in the real world the majority of people use action cameras at 1080p, and then obviously they're using them at 60 frames a second. Obviously the Sj8 Plus and the Sj8 Pro have different specs, so yeah, we'll go through that in more detail, and we'll see which one's best for you. Right, first of all, we'll do a physical comparison of the two cameras. As you can see, they are virtually identical. The placement of the LEDs on the front is the same. The on button on the side is exactly the same. The screens look exactly the same, but we'll get onto the differences in that. And then both of them, underneath the little flap on the side, have a USB-C charging port. On the top, you've got your on button and obviously the button that you use to press for start video. You've got a speaker grill. The microphones are exactly the same. There are microphone at the side, but I also believe that the Pro has an extra microphone, and it's the only one that's got the noise cancelling built into it. But we'll do the comparison video and we'll see what they're like. Let's just boot them up first of all. So just hold on slightly. That one gives you the ding 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 noise, which is subtly different than the Plus, which you'll hear the Plus now when she starts up. Very much like the old SJ6 Legend. There you go. Both of them started up. Now, personally, I've set them up so both of them have Vivid in the actual display. Now, you're not perhaps going to see it as much on here, but the Pro has a warmer video, and the actual output, which hopefully you'll see when we do the video comparison, has a warmer output as well. But the Plus, I think, for me, I prefer the display. The actual writing, if you actually look at the two side by side, I don't know if you can see this, the Pro versus the Plus just seems sharper. The writing is sharper. It just seems slightly blurred on the Pro. They are virtually the same. What it is, the Plus had a firmware update on it which brought it in line with the Pro. But I just think that the display on the Plus is slightly nicer. It's more clinical. I quite like that defined output on a display personally, but you know, each to their own. Now on the front, when you actually look at them, slight difference. Right, if we look at the Pro, we'll bring that into focus. When you look at that, obviously top left hand corner of the front display shows you what mode you're in, what you're doing at the moment, shows you how long you've been recording for, time in the bottom left hand side, and then also on the right hand side how much memory you've got left on your card, and then the battery. The only difference with the Plus is that the battery display, showing you how much is left, just there, is smaller. You don't have the bars going up like you do on the Pro. And as far as I'm aware, both displays on the back should be exactly the same technically, so they're only a firmware differential between the two. I'm using exactly the same speed cards in both of them. I've put a glass screen protector on the back of the Pro. The Plus has just basically taken the screen protector off. I've left the screen protectors on the front screen, save them getting scratched. The build is virtually exactly the same. It's metal with a kind of a rubberized finish. You haven't got that solid metal appearance like you had on the old SJ7 Star. I much prefer these, and there's a lot more heft in them. I'll discuss the weights, but they feel about the same. Obviously at the bottom, exactly the same hinge door, and obviously exactly the same tripod mount on both of them. In fact, any cases that you buy for the Pro, the Plus and the Air all fit each one. So the waterproof cases are exactly the same, the surround cases are exactly the same, the lenses and the little lens cap that comes with them is exactly the same. Whereas on the 7 Star and the Legend, they were different. You couldn't use the lens cap and interchange them. On these, they made them completely interchangeable, and the batteries are exactly the same. So if you've got a spare battery and you've got the Plus and the Pro, the battery will fit both of them. Right, for you techno geeks, which are a bit like me, I'll run through some of the technical specs for you. What I can suggest is, obviously, if you don't want to watch this, then just fast forward and watch the bit where I compare the video, which obviously is the main reason why you're here, and that's the reason I watch every video. If I'm buying a camera, I want to know what the footage is like. Sound and footage, that's all I'm bothered about. So, we'll start with the Pro. The Pro has a 12 megapixel Sony IMX377 sensor, whereas the Plus has again the Sony, but it's the 117 sensor, slightly less. The Plus uses the Umbrella H22 chipset, whereas the Plus uses the Novatec 96683 processor. Both 170 degrees field of view, both of them have an aperture of 2.8. The Pro does native 4K maximum 60 frames a second. The Plus does native 4K 30 frames a second. So it's not interpolated, it is actually true 4K on both of them. They both do 2.7K at 60 frames a second. Both of them do 1080p at 120 frames a second. Whereas if you remember the Legend and the Star, only the Star did it at 1080p. Both of them do 720p at 240 frames a second. Now the Pro bitrate on 4K at 30 frames a second is 65 megabytes per second. That's better than it does at 1080p. It's actually lacking at 1080p. I believe that the bitrate, and I think it's increased slightly with the recent firmware, is about the best that you're going to get on any 4K action camera at the moment. The Plus manages 33 megabits per second at 30 frames a second 4K. Both of them have image stabilization, whereas this has got 6 axis, that has got 3 axis. Both have got digital zoom, both of them record in MP4, both of them record in H.264 and the new H.265. Both of them take 12 megapixel native photo resolution, both of them take RAW. Same display front and back, as I said, same battery, same Wi-Fi. Both of them take up to 128 gigabyte card, both of them USB-C. Both of them take external microphones. So they are virtually the same. Now on the price list at the moment, in dollars, the Pro is listed at $269 and the Plus $179. Banggood, you'll get offers on, but basically the Pro is going to cost you more than the Plus, but it would do, because this is the flagship model and this is like the middle one. But to be honest with you, I think you'll find the differential isn't that much, and for the majority of people the Plus will more than suffice what you need it for. Right, let's have a look at the displays. We'll start with the Pro. Now they're exactly the same in the fact as everything's set out. You'll see, I'm going to go into video mode, if you can just focus on that, please camera. There we go. ISO max is 6400 on this. I've got mine set to 1600 at the moment. On the Plus it's 3200. Both of them have identical setup, so if you click on the actual frame rate, it gives you all these different options. So if I go into the 1080p, then what I can do, I can actually choose what I want. So I can go cinematic, 24 frames a second, 25 frames a second, standard 30, 50, 60, up to 120. So all your frame rates are done exactly the same on both of them. So if we just go into this one, go on the frame rates, it's exactly the same, but other than on this, what you do is you choose your individual. It's a bit like the old Sjcam Star. So that one, the menu takes you straight in, you get all your different options. This one, you've got to physically scroll through and choose what you want. So you click it, and then it'll just alter it there. Get back button on all of them, so you can just click back. He says, bring it into focus. Your settings for the actual mode that you're in at the moment is this little wand here. Click that. You get an interface on here where I really love this interface. So everything to do with what you're doing at the moment is all on here. Timestamp, video quality, ISO max, so I can alter that if I want. Go up to 6400, and it scrolls through, so we can alter that, bring that. Loop recording, file size, so you can actually alter how long it's going to record for before it starts recording again. 20 minutes, it doesn't overheat, I've had no issues at all with that. Sharpness I've left as standard. Volume, I've got mine on 7. What I've noticed, that's a bit low. I think it needs to be the default 8, to be honest with you. Gyro stabilizer is either off or on. Now gyro mode supports up to, on this one, 4K 30 frames a second. It's not supported in H.265. Auto white balance, EV bracketing, encoding, I've got it in 264 because my computer doesn't like 265, it's too old for that. Distortion correction on or off, obviously to get rid of that weird fisheye effect that you get. Audio is on or off, video quality. So that's everything to do with the frame that you're in at the time. So if we now go over to the plus, and we'll take a look what she's doing. So you got your little wand, exactly the same, we'll click on that, and then it's the old style Sjcam Star. So field of view, you can't alter it when the gyro stabilization is on. Wide dynamic range, that just gives you a little bit more saturation. It gets rid of the darker areas and highlights. It doesn't make much of a difference, but it's there, so you might as well use it. Gyro sensor off or on, audio off or on, volume, timestamp, bitrate, so everything that this one did, but just in a list. So it depends what you're into at the end of the day. One big difference on there, so you got your distortion correction, is that it doesn't give you a separate option for microphone, which I'll show you that in the actual main settings. Loop recording, video coded. So if we go into the actual main settings, and I've got this set so it uses the same theme for the display on each of them. So if I go main settings, your language, Wi-Fi on or off, Wi-Fi frequency, this does do 5.8 gigahertz. Format your card, auto power off in 3 minutes, LCD off time. Front display on or off, indicator lights on or off, keypad tone, rotate off, brightness, color temperature. External microphone is off on that one, so you can choose on or off. Date time, gimbal control, direct button for when you've got it in the Sjcam gimbal, which obviously I did the review earlier. I suggest that you watch that. Frequency, that's your light frequency. Put it back to default settings. So if you muck it up and you think, I can't remember how I get back, default settings. Display ISO, left that on. User interface, now this is the one, I can click that, go back to classic, and then literally the display is the same then on each of them as it is on the plus. But I really love the new display. So I'm hoping that on a future firmware update, they allow you to have the same. I don't see why not on both. Whether it just makes them too close, I'm not quite sure. So if we go to the plus now, and we go on to the main settings, if we go on there, basically same interface. Fastboot. This has a fastboot. The Pro doesn't. With Fastboot, you press your on button and it'll start recording straight away. Within about a second or so, you're on. So if you're doing some action sports and you need to get it really quick, the Plus actually has the benefit on that. Date and time, format your card. Now, cloud control. Cloud control, when I've used it, PTZ remote control. Okay, so I leave that on and then that works when it's in the gimbal. TV mode, fast record, which we said. Right, that's quick on, fast record starts recording quickly. Quick capture, front display on or off, ISO info, exposure time info, doesn't give me the option of that, it's coded out, whether that will be improved on a firmware update. White dynamic range, auto power off in 5 minutes, keypad tone, LCD brightness, screensavers, and again, frequency of the display. Now on both of these, very similar. If I am currently in video mode, swipe across, it'll go to the mode that I've chosen. So if I want to stay in video, scroll across, it'll do that. If I choose photo, and scroll across, it'll go between video and photo. Shows you top left hand corner how many frames you've done. On video, shows you the available amount. So in 1080p, 60 frames a second. On standard, I've got 16 hours, 1080p. On this one, I've got a 64 gig card on. I just don't own 228 gig cards. If we alter that to the same amount, 60 frames a second, I've got 7 hours 55 on there. Exactly the same. Video, scroll across, photo. So no difference at all. But it scrolls across to what you've chosen originally. So on that one, I've been using it in time lapse. When I scrolled across, it went between video and time lapse. Right, what we'll do, we'll show you. Scroll down. Scroll down. Just basically in the different order. So on the Plus, we've got Wi-Fi, remote control, so that's the handheld remote control that uses Bluetooth, TV out, so for drone usage, if you want to use drone footage, you want it for FPV, and then LCD off. Okay, this one is virtually the same, it just says lock screen. Exactly the same options. On both of these, on the old ones, the Sj8 Star used to scroll across and then it took you into the footage that you'd done. In this bottom left hand corner, click that and then you choose, you can watch your videos or whatever photos you've done. On this one, if I press that, exactly the same, video, picture. Okay, just running through just a few more specs just to give you the rundown on it. Both of them give you burst shooting. Both of them do a low light mode, which works really well. I was using the Pro to do some light photography, light painting. So I got the shutter open for 20 seconds using a high-powered light with different colours, doing some light painting. And obviously then you can have that strobe effect if you want like car headlights shooting off into the distance. Both of them do time-lapse movie. They will do it at 4K. Both of them have got an underwater mode. Right. On the Plus, if you actually look, it's got video, video lapse, slow record, still, photo lapse, burst mode, video and photo, so it'll take a photo with a very short video, car mode and underwater mode. That alters the lighting, the spectrum of the lighting. With the Pro, when you go into it, it doesn't give it you separate. But what you can do, if we go actually into the settings, and then we go into the color profile, it will, there. So on your white balance, it'll give you the underwater mode in there, so you can choose it. It's just a little bit quicker on the Plus, but both of them do exactly the same. Both of them have got car mode. According to this, the weight is the same as well. 85 grams or 3 ounces. Right, so you can see this is my super technical rig. Basically, it's just an extension bar that I've got. I've mounted them up side by side. More or less should give us the same angle of view. Hopefully, I don't know if you can quite see it, but on the Plus it's a slightly bluish tinge on the display. It is warmer on the Pro. So if we go both on, that's photo, video, video. And also I've got them both set, make sure that we've got exactly the same. So we'll go 60 frames a second on both of them. So a 1080p 60 frames a second. Both of them should have exactly the same angle of view. The Plus seems to have a slightly wider angle of view, because as you can see, I've got one chair in view, and then I've got the side of the other chair. It's got some quite vivid distortion, even though distortion correction is on. And then it's just slightly less. Not that it would make a massive difference. On the Plus, you can alter between narrow, medium, and wide. On the Pro, you can only alter it between wide and extra super wide. That's the difference. You buy an action cam for wide viewing. If you're doing vlogging, you want to be in the shot. So I keep that on wide anyway. It makes no difference. Right, I'm recording on both now. So I'm just doing an inside shot. I'm in my living room at the moment. Nice bright sunny day outside, Christmas tree. What do you think of the jumper? Christmas jumper. We had Christmas jumper night at work last night. So I've put it on especially for you. I've had to get up extra early this morning to go to my daughter's Christmas play. Lily, you've seen her in my videos. So yeah, this is an inside shot. This is just really bright light. I'll take you through into the conservatory. And it's really bright outside, sun's beating down, so absolutely perfect conditions for action cameras. Action cams love plenty of light. So this is inside. So, left hand side I've got the Plus, right hand side I've got the Pro. So this is the sound from the Sj8 Plus. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Sound off the Pro. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Both of them have image stabilization switched on, so when I go outside I'm going to do my stupid run up and down the garden and you can see which one's better. Right, so I'm outside now, really sunny day, so sunny it's like blinding me. It's cold, but hey, I've got the Christmas jumper on. So we'll just make sure that the angle is the same, it looks about the same on both of them. And this is outside. Don't know what the volume's like, wind noise. So, outside test. A little bit of a breeze. Sj8 Plus left hand side, testing 1, 2, 3. Sj8 Pro on the right hand side, testing volume 1, 2, 3. So yeah, quite a nice sunny day. Only a week till Christmas, thank goodness. Can't wait for Santa to arrive, and I'm also looking forward to having some time off work. So, image stabilization is set on both of them, so I'm going to hold it out at arm's length on my little contraption, and I'm going to run up the garden. We'll get some wind noise, run down the garden, and then as I'm walking around, obviously move slightly. As I'm walking around, you can just see for vlogging purposes. So left hand side Sj8 Plus, right hand side Sj8 Pro. See which you think is better. Both of them are set as standard 1080p 60 frames a second, same codec, more or less the same settings that I can get in both. Auto exposure, everything should be exactly the same. Right, I'm going to alter the footage now to 4K. I'm going to set both of them to 30 frames a second because the Plus doesn't do 60 frames, so that would be an unfair differential. Right, we're recording both now in 4K 30 frames a second. The image stabilization I don't think works on the Plus at this rate, but it definitely does on the Pro. Remember, the Pro has 6-axis image stabilization, so I'm just walking around. This is in 4K. Not quite sure I'm going to be able to process it because my monitor does not display 4K. I may actually put this footage up separately and upload it in 4K, so those of you that have got 4K capabilities can actually compare the two just as a quick sample. So we'll do the run up and down the garden. And the rig, I can feel it wobbling. It's not quite tight, so that's, you know, giving you a real world differential. So up and down the garden. You can actually see, so I'm in shadow at the moment. See how it copes with shadows, highlights. So yeah, this is in 4K. Sound should be exactly the same. Obviously the only differential that you're going to get is the fact that one can record video in 4K, one can't. So that's the end of that one. I've completed my stupid running up and down in the back garden, sitting down. I need to go back to bed because I'm in work tonight. Sj8 plus Sj8 Pro. Now both of them same physically, virtually, no difference at all. Only you can decide which is the footage that's best for you. Both of them very, very similar, as you can see on the top. The blue light's on permanently on there. Now if I record on both of them, they will flash on the top to show that they're recording, and then on the front obviously I've got the fact that it's recording. I did a little bit of time lapse. It'll only come out very short, only running for 10 minutes because obviously I'm pushed for time. I've covered the video off. I've done an indoor photograph standing in my conservatory, lots of light. I've done outdoor video, I've done 1080p, and I've done 4K at 30 frames a second. So I've tried to cover all the bases for you to give you an idea. Ultimately, if you can afford it, the Pro is going to be the better one because it's the flagship model at the end of the day. So that is going to be different for you. The difference in price, to be honest with you, shop around isn't that great. I have seen them in a flash sale, the Pro on Amazon, for about £156, I think it was. I've seen the Plus on Amazon for around about £130. If you want to get it from China and you're prepared to wait, I've seen the Pro as cheap as £131. I've seen the Plus literally about £115, £120. So the differential isn't that great. So if I was starting out and I didn't own an action cam and I got the budget, I would buy the Pro because it's the Pro. But the Plus will do everything that you need an action camera to do. If you stick it in a gimbal, you haven't got to worry about image stabilization. But ultimately, the decision falls on you, the prospective buyer. Only you can decide what's best for you. All I can do is show you the footage and give you my opinion for what it's worth. I'm going to be doing another review with the Pro versus the Hero 7 Black. So that's my next video that I'm going to produce. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please smash the like button. Down below, if it's your first time on the channel, please consider subscribing. It's great. Thank you very much for all my new subscribers. Thank you very much for all the great comments. Any ideas you can come up with, anything that you'd like, let me know. On my last video when I did the gimbal, it was really nice because I commented that you couldn't press the button in a sequence and get it spin round. Somebody pointed out to me that you press it 3 times and it does spin round like the original one. So it shows you I don't know everything. I can only pass on what I know. So thank you very much for the comments. It's greatly appreciated. Both great cameras, great battery life. The Plus will have slightly better battery life because obviously it's got a less powerful processor in it, so it's using less power than the Pro will be doing. But again, in real-time terms, not much of a difference. I've noticed outside in the cold, just like the 7-star, most action cams, they don't like the cold. The battery life has really diminished. Keep them in your pocket between filming. Keep them warm in an inside pocket. It's far better. But either you'll be really pleased with, but if you can afford it, I would suggest that you buy the Pro. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Catch you next time. And Merry Christmas. Bye.